Before we get started, let's introduce, this is Quill.
Hi everyone.
What's up everybody? Welcome back to Next Stop Churro Car. This is the long-awaited and long-promised reaction video to Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party and Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party.
Yes, so we went to both this year and we kind of sat down and talked about what we wanted to we're still kind of figuring out what we're doing with this channel at this point, and so we just wanted to come up with something. That's our cat Pocket. We wanted to come up with something that was helpful to people who may have never gone to one of these events before, or it's been a while since you've gone. So really quickly, we wanted to give some advice. Here goes Pocket. Come here, you.
Pocket may not want to be on the internet, but too
This
bad.
is Pocket.
Hi,
Pocket is a sweet baby. Okay. So to start off, we wanted to talk a little bit about some advice that we would give. We're going to kind of rapid fire our advice. And so I'll go first.
Wait, before you do that, I'm sorry, but if you have not watched our Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party or our two-part Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, sorry, it's a lot of words, it's a mouthful, please pause here, go back, watch those videos, and then come back so you understand what we're talking about.
Or don't. We can't control you. So first is, when you go to any of these events, be patient when it comes to these events. I think that a lot of people go to these events thinking that I've paid all this extra money, there's gonna be no lines, there's gonna be limited people, and that is just not the case. Even with the Very Merry Christmas Party, there were a lot of people. And our Not So Scary, I swear up and down and all around it, it was sold out, but it wasn't as busy. But either way, there's gonna be people, there's gonna be lines. It's still Disney at the end of the day. And so being patient is gonna be the number one advice we're gonna give probably all the time, but especially for these events. Be patient when you're going to any of these events. They can start slow, but they do take off. Just give yourself the time you need to enjoy the events.
This is a very appropriate one for me. Don't expect to ride every single attraction. I am a rides person when I go to theme parks. I always try to get on every single attraction I can, especially the roller coasters. And sometimes I feel like if I miss on some of those big name rides, that I kind of missed out on a lot of the event. And I found out, especially with Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, gosh, that's hard to say. I found out with that event in particular that you can't go in expecting to ride everything. I think more realistically, you should go in and do some research to figure out which rides have holiday overlays and which ones have little special things going on, and then aim for those rides. But when you have these shortened hours in these special events, riding everything is not a very realistic point.
And point number 3 is be prepared for higher crowds. Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party had holiday level crowds. Tyler and I have both been to Disneyland around Christmas time, around New Year's, around Thanksgiving. And we very much had those level of crowds when we were in the parks for Very Merry Christmas Party. Not so much for the Halloween party, but still a fair amount of people. So just be prepared for that level of crowds. I think a lot of people view these parties as you're able to go in and ride a ton of things, do all of the stuff. You cannot feasibly get everything done that a party offers. So a little bit of research beforehand is really going to make a big difference on whether or not you have a good party or you feel like you missed out on everything that you would have really loved to do.
Tip number 4, and this might be a no-duh tip, but wear good, comfortable shoes. And this is probably not just contained to specific Disney events, like the Halloween party or the Christmas party, but just whenever you go to a theme park, wear good shoes. You guys who know me outside of this know that I love my kicks, and especially I love my high top Converse. I wore those for the aesthetic of the outfits that we were donning in the parks, and I'll tell you what, that was a very bad mistake. In short, I think I made it about 2 hours before I was really starting to feel it, and then, you know, I think there were like 3 or 4 hours left in the party, so that's a very long time to just be, oh man, my ankles, the bottom of my feet. My knees were even feeling it. Just wear good supportive shoes. You were doing so many steps and so many miles in a day at a Disney theme park, let alone a normal theme park. So wearing good shoes is very, very key.
Our next bit of advice is to arrive early to shows. Again, this might feel like a duh, and it's Disney. But we've done this now both times at both the Halloween party and the Christmas party. We rocked up to the parades going, wow, there's a lot of people here for the one of two performances of the parades. So I don't feel like there was a big difference in crowds between the Christmas party. I think it just is important that you get there at least an hour in advance. It's not going to kill you to enjoy a little bit of ambiance. I think that they do such a great job, especially if you want to be on Main Street for the Christmas parade because you want to be in the snow. Sit there, enjoy it. It's beautiful down Main Street, and I think some of our favorite memories at Disney are sitting on Main Street, people watching. It's such a fun thing to do at Disney. It feels like it wouldn't be, but it really is so much fun. So definitely make sure that you're arriving to those shows at a decent time so that you can enjoy all of what those shows have to offer with nobody in front of you.
Next up on our list, be prepared for a late night. For these special events, Magic Kingdom will close a few hours after the typical closing time. So that is something of a mental preparation for us, just to stay up. Maybe we're getting old, who knows? But these events end up finishing at midnight. Main Street will stay open after for like last minute shopping and pictures and little treats to get on the way out. And that could leave you in the park until, I don't know, 12:30, 1 in the morning even. And then afterwards, you have to take into account that you're going to need to use some sort of transportation. If, we're at Magic Kingdom, for example, you're going to have to probably get over to the TTC if you parked there, or if you're trying to get to an Uber or a Lyft. You might have to take a monorail back to a monorail resort. You also might have to take a bus or, utilize a minivan depending on the situation. So to be fully transparent, when we left Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, it took us about an hour to get from the park to our hotel, which, if we had a car right there, it probably would have taken us 15-20 minutes, but just getting across the lagoon and waiting for the ferries and all that stuff, waiting for an Uber, it took us a hot minute. So just be prepared for a very late evening.
These events are worth it, but they're really only worth it with a little bit of research. I do a fair amount of our research just because I enjoy it. I love knowing everything about Disney. So I typically am the one who does a fair amount of research, which I think is fair.
Makes my life easier. I just get to go and enjoy myself. Sorry.
Right, but I ask him to look at the food that he wants. I'm not gonna pick his food for him. But we do sit down, we look at all of the special event food. We do this for festivals, and we do this for extra ticketed events that have, special merch, special food, special dining. So we get to know all of that kind of stuff. We make those decisions in advance. We write them down in a notebook so we know where we want to go and what we want to do. We decide what rides we want to ride and which ones we'll just let go. We pick which shows we're going to watch, when we're going to watch them. We know all of this before we walk into the party. That way, when we are there, we're not guessing what our next step is. We kind of already know. And we still do, live by the seat of our pants a little bit, but we really know what we want to do, what we want to eat, and what we want to see. And we pre-make all of those decisions so that we get the most out of these parties when we do go and see them.
I want to say Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween, and that's because Halloween is my favorite holiday of all holidays. But I gotta go with Very Merry Christmas Party, and the reason is because that one's been around longer, it's more developed, there's more to it, and there's more stuff to do. It's probably busier, at least it felt busier, but I think, because that party was more developed, I feel like that was the more exciting one for us.
I agree. I also liked Very Merry Christmas over Not So Scary, and I love Not So Scary. We've actually been to that one the most because we've done it both in Disney World and then we've done once over in Disneyland as well. And I love that party and it's super fun. But I think partially because Christmas was new, we've never been to that party before. And we also are big Christmas people. So I love walking into a decorated Disney park. I just think there's something on top of the magic. At Christmas to the magic is just a whole nother level. So Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party was my favorite for sure.
Both worth doing. And,
Yes.
I will just add one tidbit. I think there is some like specialness now to Not So Scary, at least in Disneyland, because it technically doesn't exist anymore. They do Oogie Boogie Bash, and they do it in California Adventure rather than Disneyland, the Magic Kingdom.
So my piece of advice, obviously we've gotten a lot of advice in this video, but my piece of advice would be to really get into dressing up for the events. I think that the people who dress up have a lot more fun. So like we did costumes for the Halloween party, and then we did like our nice dress for the Christmas party. We saw people dressed up in like Christmas pajamas, but there's just something about going to these events and like being able to take a picture and you'll know like that was at the Christmas party, that was at the Halloween party because you were dressed up for the event. So that would be my bit of like fun advice, would be like really get into this. It's a lot of fun. You're around a ton of people who also want to do it. For me, the high for me is always the ambiance of the parties. These parties are so fun and people show up big for these Disney parties. During Halloween, you've got cosplayers that they cosplay all year long and they have come to show off what they have. It's like D23, only in the parks because you're allowed to, as an adult, dress up. For the Christmas party, we saw a lot of people, a lot of families. You could tell that this was like a family thing every year for these people to come together, and they were wearing Christmas pajamas, or they were wearing, their fancy dresses or whatever. They had matching t-shirts or something. My low is the cost. This is not a cheap event, and when you really break it down, you are getting 5 hours in the park. Which is not a lot of time. I know everyone goes, oh, but you can walk in 3 hours before. You are sharing those 3 hours with day guests. And it is expensive for what you get. And I really think that this belongs to the Disney lover, because most people, the average person who goes to Disney is gonna go, they wanna ride the rides, they wanna eat a little bit of food, and then they wanna go home. And this is for the person who really loves Disney, who if you sat on Main Street for 4 hours, you'd be fine. You'd be like, I got a great time out of this. I ate some fun food. I went around, I saw the treat trails, and I got the cookies, and I did this, and I, got the special treats. And you'd be fine with that because you were in the park, and that's what you love. But for the average person who's going for the first time, this party might seem ridiculous, and the cost is a big player in that. We think they're worth it. We love going to these parties, but if you are that sounds really rude, just an average consumer of Disney, the parties might not be worth it. It might be too much of a price tag for the amount of time that you're in the park. The size of your party is going to matter a lot too. We're 2 adults. If we had kids, this would be a very different thing. I don't know that we would do it as often.
We hope this has been helpful. It's been a somewhat brief just retelling of our experience at both Not So Scary Halloween and Very Merry Christmas. So I think that's the first time I've been able to say both of those party names without stuttering. So victory. Anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We know this was our very first at-home exclusive video, so we definitely
liked our kitchen windows. And Pocket says goodbye.
If you like this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. Leave us a comment, especially if you have any questions. Be sure to follow our Instagram and Thread links below in the description. And
Pocket says, subscribe please, we love you so much.
And then she's also saying, next stop, Christmas time at Animal Kingdom. Tyler messed up.
Bye guys.